I'm back. That's my rap horn. How was it?
that was a horrible rap horn.
Thank you. Well, aren't they all horrible? Let's be
Probably
real.
better than CJ could have pulled off, though.
Oh yeah, was he a great guest or was he just a piece of dead weight?
No, he was really good. He was really good. He was very thoughtful in his approach. I'm gonna give CJ big props. He came in and he was like prepared with topics and questions. It was absolutely the opposite of you and I. It was amazing. It was really amazing. He did everything that we don't do. I'm like, damn, you should be the permanent host, and maybe Ben and I should just guest occasionally.
I mean, he's having a baby soon, so I think he'll have a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah, it was nothing but free time.
I hear his boss is going to give him a ton of paternity leave.
He doesn't like calling you boss. I referred you as his boss several times, and he got all pissy with me
I
about it.
bet he did because CJ's the boss. He's the real boss.
He does
On
not.
paper, I might be the boss, but CJ's the boss.
He
Let's
does
be
not
honest.
enjoy. He does not enjoy you being called the boss. He just like he doesn't think of you that way. I'm like, all right, well, Ben thinks of himself that way when he writes the checks. So there you go.
Yeah, when I'm paying people, it certainly feels that way. But no, CJ's probably my best friend, and he's very thoughtful, very smart. So hopefully everyone got a lot out of him being here, and hopefully they don't miss him too much now that I'm back. But we can always bring him back.
I know. I briefly thought maybe we'd ease everybody back into you by having him back on tonight, but I figure between he's down in Florida, so I had to believe he's just getting the residuals of everything that's going on there, and got a baby on the way. It's like I'm not.
He went golfing on Friday. I
Did
had a
he?
meeting with him today, so he's like, yeah, I didn't hit Pensacola at all. So
So he's fine. Okay. That's such a weird thing, isn't it? Like hurricanes just ravages part of the state, and their other parts are like totally cool.
yeah, it's interesting the specificity of these massive events.
I know it makes me grateful to live in Ohio, where all we get is lake effect snow. Like it's kind of the same phenomenon, like in theory, where we get just pounded by a storm, and like people down in Columbus won't get anything. They're only 2 hours south of us. But the difference is like snow just melts and goes away, and like you have moments where it's scary and bad, but you can just go get some food and hang out.
Right, just like kind of don't drive for a while.
Yeah, just don't drive for a couple of days. You're all right. Typically,
Yeah.
I mean, I know there are exceptions, but I've been through the worst storms ever in Cleveland's history. I've been through a couple of them, and it ain't nothing like those hurricanes. So God bless those guys for having to deal with that. It's a horrible circumstance, to say the least. Well, welcome back. How was your trip?
Well, I'm gonna use the phrase character building. My trip was my month-long hunting adventure was very character building.
You're looking rugged. You look very rugged, like really man-like.
Thank you. Yeah, I decided to give all of our viewers, not just listeners, the viewers, a taste of this is me, a month of no haircut. I got
bro, baby.
Look at the grays I got in there. Like I probably added a solid 3,000 gray hairs to my head.
You have curly hair? You have curly hair? Wow, look at you.
Got curly hair, got grays in my beard. My beard's all ragged, run down my neck. So this is me not shaving or cutting my hair for a little over a month now. Also didn't shower, but I think once or twice. But I have showered since returning to Denver on Saturday. So that's good.
So why was it character building?
Well, a typical day in the life of backcountry bow hunting is waking up at around 4 a.m., sometimes 3 a.m., sometimes a little bit later. I think the latest we woke up was maybe like 4:45, but usually around 4 a.m. And that's having gone to bed the night before, usually at around 11 p.m. Because just as first light is coming and just as last light is going, those are kind of like the peak activity times for elk because they're pretty nocturnal. So basically wake up really early, go to your spot, or you're already in your spot. You are either camping or, there were some times that we camped at a place that we could like drive to one of our spots because we had a couple spots that weren't necessarily that far deep in the wilderness. But either way, wake up really early, you go to your morning spot and try to get into some elk. And essentially your day takes you on these really big adventures where it winds up being anywhere between, I'd say, 8 and 15 miles. of hiking with the backpack and your bow. And all the while you're trying to be really quiet and trying to be really stealthy and get into elk. And then ultimately, like, you end your day really late, wherever the elk are, hopefully last light ends, and then you hike back to where you're staying in the dark. So overall, it was like we'd go to bed at like 11 p.m. and wake up around, like I said, 4 a.m. on average. Could combine that with 8 to 15 miles of hiking per day. I wound up doing, I think, a little over 300 miles since the end of August. And yeah, that's why I was character building. Lots and lots and lots of hard hiking. And like, imagine, it's one thing to be like, I'm going to climb that mountain because I want to do it and it is my goal to climb the mountain. It's another thing to be like, I'm going to climb that mountain for the small fractional chance that that's going to help me get in front of this herd of elk. And then like you do it and you're completely way off and you weren't even close. And then you're just like, well, I just hiked this mountain for no reason. Right. So like, just imagine that like every day. So failure, failure, failure. And then the big one for me, my hunting partner, who's also used to be a big CrossFitter. So he ended up missing a few times. He missed three shots, which obviously is tough. And he was really banged up about that. And I was obviously pissed about it, but I knew he was beating himself up just as much, if not more than I beat him up. And then about 2/3 of the way through the season, it's like, hey man, like I have my chances. Now it's your turn. So I turned to be like the shooter. And he was the guy who was like trying to call the elk in. And we got one in on the final morning. Basically, the last 36 hours, I had several chances to like have a successful season on a really big bull elk. And I released one arrow and I hit a tree. And I basically like I had this really, really tough shot, but it was doable. Like it was a shot that, in training, I would hit, probably 8 out of 10 times, at least. And I missed it. And dude, it was the last morning, like literally the last morning, already 290 miles into the season and completely exhausted, last freaking morning of the season. And I completely blew my chance. And I am still like struggling with the comeback of that. Cause it's like you work all year for this goal. You like literally is the hardest thing I've ever done. Like CrossFit Games training was like so much easier than like what I was doing every single day. And then only to have the very end of the season, my one opportunity, my one window, like show up. And it's like, wow, I couldn't write this any better. And then thunk, I hit the tree. Basically, if I was like 6 inches to the left, I'd probably be singing a different tune, but I wasn't. I was 6 inches to the right. And thus I whacked a tree right in the middle. And it was very, very frustrating. So yeah, it was tough, very character building, but man, it was quite a learning experience. And I spent a lot of time in nature, which is therapeutic in its own right, but also very tough.
How many total days were you out in the wilderness?
30.
How do you, I mean, that's a lot of isolation,
30,
right?
35, because I did some scouting days.
I mean, you're out there. I know you've got your partner with you, but still a lot of isolation.
Oh yeah, there was a lot. There were several days where I was alone, where he went home and it was just me out there. Of course, like I'm like, I started a new book and it just happened to be like a serial killer book.
Right.
Because like there's a couple times where we were sitting, basically like you sit at a water source or something like that for a really long extended period of time. And one of the best things you can do is just like read something on your phone because it keeps you quiet and it keeps you occupied and stuff like that.
Sure.
And of course, like I'm reading like some serial killer book, and then like hiking home in the pitch black darkness, right. And you can like hear like there's like bears and mountain lions. Like we saw all those things. We had a bear stalk us. It thought that we were a baby elk, so it did come in wanting to eat us, but then it saw that we were human and was like, I'm not gonna eat these guys. Right. But like it's just so funny how like being completely alone in the wilderness. I'm not afraid of the dark, but walking home, doing like a 4-mile hike in complete and total blackness, just having read like this serial killer book, I'm just like, man, I wonder if there's a serial killer out here that hunts hunters, a hunter that hunts hunters. Like you're spinning up all these things. So it's definitely weird to be alone in the wilderness.
Well, people always say they're not scared of the dark until they get out in the woods, like in real dark. Like when you're not around a city and it's real dark, and
Yeah.
particularly if you're in the woods, like
Oh yeah, because you hear some stuff and you're like, that's a grizzly bear. I'm gonna die.
yeah, I'm gonna die tonight. That is not fun. How did you I know this isn't like really CrossFit adjacent, but like how do you deal with that isolation over time? Does it get depressing? Does it get like what's it do to your mental state, mental toughness?
Man, I'd say it. I think it can do two things. It can show you how mentally weak you are, or it can show you how mentally strong you are. And it's like it's one thing to do to like send it down a ravine and like run up the side of a mountain, which actually we did like on the final or on the second to last day, and it actually got us into a bunch of elk. Like it was this epic, like we just took this huge gamble and used our fitness and like actually cut off the elk and like had this amazing shot opportunity. But when you're alone, the coolness of that is like no one will know when you shave a rep. You know what I mean? Like no one will know that you decided not to take the chance. No one will know that you're like, you know what? I'm only going to hike up halfway up the mountain. No one knows those things. Only you know. And only you know that you put in 100% effort. It's just like I imagine those who train in a garage, right? Alone. Like they're the only ones that know that their reps are valid. They're the only ones that know like if they gave 100%. And
Right.
for me, it was awesome to like just freaking just challenge myself and like, hey, like, yeah, it's a big mountain, or yeah, that hike looks horrible, but guess what? You're gonna do it because that's because my motto that I kind of was carrying with me was no stone unturned. It's like if there's a chance this is going to help increase my odds to find elk and and shoot one, then I need to do it. And anytime I had that thought go through my head, it was like no stone unturned, and I would do it. So I would say it's really mentally strengthening. Although like it sucks to do all these mentally strengthening things and then to end in this perceived failure, but that's what happens when you have an outcome goal. We've talked about this. Like outcome goals are dangerous because outcome goals are like you don't necessarily control whether or not they happen. Process goals are the things that you should really be proud of. So if I look back on the season and I say, hey, did I stay in the field? Did I hunt really hard? Did I hike the hard hikes that needed to be hiked? Did I take the chances that I think would put me in front of more elk? I would say for the most part, yes, almost overwhelmingly. Obviously the outcome was 0 elk. But if I focus on the process goal and I'm proud of myself for the effort that I put forth, I know that eventually the outcome will come.
Yeah.
And you can actually see Rich Froning posted about that too. Like, I don't know if anyone saw Rich post about it.
The one where he called us all cowards. Yeah, we all saw that. It was good.
Yeah, I didn't actually read the caption too hard, but I guess he was calling like people who hate hunting that also eat meat. I don't know, coward. I don't know. Anyway, regardless, like he worked really hard, and I know some people who were hunting with him, but like it took him 5 years and countless amounts of days and stuff like that. But I know that if I keep putting in this amount of effort and I keep training and I practice more shooting, because I shouldn't have missed that shot, then I know that the outcome will take place. So,
well, we talked about this. CJ and I were talking about positive, kind of mindset, self-talk last week. And I was telling him about an experience I had in the gym where it's a really tough workout. And I started telling myself in the last couple of rounds, be proud of your effort. That was all I wanted to get out of it. Just be proud of your effort. And that's all fine and good in what was essentially, a 20-minute workout. But what we're talking about for you here is you're talking about, all right, I've got whatever your goal is for that moment, get up the mountain, get down the mountain, get it in a position for a shot, whatever. And you're kind of setting those short-term goals. But I guess the real question for me is what happens on day 15 when you've done 15 short-term goals and you still don't have an elk? Like, what's that do? Does that change your mindset at all, or you just keep kind of replugging?
Caffeine.
Yeah.
That was like, like caffeine literally takes
Does it? Does it help
what
positive mindset?
it does. Like it helps add meaning to meaningless things or whatever. Like there's like I forget I watched some scientists talk about it, but essentially like it can help motivate you to do things that you definitely don't want to do. And it's so interesting, like sleep deprived. We've already taken, like you said, like 30 swings or 100 swings. We've done like 100 things that we thought would work, and all of them have ended in complete failure. It's very, very difficult to trust the process and say, you know what, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do it again. And it's crazy because, like, if there's one thing that I learned about like myself and about, I don't know, just the nature of things is like the only way you can guarantee failure is by giving up. And I assure you, like, if you had polled Gary's my hunting partner, on the 28th of September, and you're like, hey guys, you got 2 more days left. How do you feel about your chances? We would just we'd be like, bro, like this is terrible. Like, we're struggling really bad. And it's hard for us just to get out of bed in the morning. Um, but then you ask us 36 hours later, and we're like, that was the most incredible 36 hours of my entire life. The elk were screaming. We saw so many giant bull. Like things can change at the drop of a hat. And the only way we were able to experience that is because we kept showing up. So it really ingrained in me this idea of like never giving up. The only way that you lose guaranteed is if you give up. But if you don't give up and you keep showing up and you keep like doing the work that you know that needs to be done to achieve the goal, you're going to put yourself in a position to achieve it. And even though we didn't get an elk down, we certainly saw the results of our hard work by being so close to so many.
And was there a change of strategy? I mean, we don't have to go into the strategy too much, but I'm just trying to think of, like someone in fitness.
Yeah.
If I were going into my gym for 30 days and working on pull-ups,
Mm.
and at the end of 30 days, I was real close, but still hadn't got a pull-up. But every single day I did the same thing, I'd be pretty pissed off. Like, are you
Yes.
guys changing your strategy each day?
Yes.
A lot of variation, or what are you doing?
Oh yeah. Yeah, lots of variation. We would, the first 10 days or so we're on one particular spot, and we kind of had all our eggs in that basket. We got really close. We had more encounters under 100 yards with elk in the first 6 days than we did all of last season combined. So like we're like, oh man, like we're on it, we're doing it right. And then all of a sudden that dried up, and we like went 2 days without seeing any elk. And it was like it's really, really difficult to leave a spot when like, oh, I know they're here. Like, it's kind of like it's very difficult to change things in your programming if it's like worked for you in the past, or you had success with it, or you used to have fun doing it. But what we did was we changed things up mid-season, got back on them really good, and then that kind of dried up. And then we made another change and then got back on them. And then that's, the end of the season was incredible, the amount of like animals we were able to get around. So, yes, it's like we were always applying consistent effort, but it wasn't like we went out there and did the same thing every single day and failed and failed and failed. We tried things until we were like, you know what? I don't think this is working. Now we've given it enough attempts, we've given it enough tries. Now let's modify our game plan to see if that changes our results. And it did. And it really did. So we did that a few times.
Did you learn enough in, well, I'm gonna call it 30 days of loss? I can't think of a better title.
30 days of pure failure.
Yeah, 30 days of failure. I mean, whatever you want to call it, 30 days of not achieving your goal. Did you learn enough in the 30 days to say, all right, now I know what I need to go home and work on, so when I go back, I'll have a better shot at success?
Yes. Like the privilege of being able to do it for 30 whole days is like the amount of stuff that Gary and I learned in a 30-day window of like basically being out there all day, every day for 30 days, including overnight, was like that. For most people, that's like 4 seasons. Most people can only get out there for a week, and you only learn a week's worth of things. Well, we learned an entire month, a month worth of things, 30 days worth of things. And that is like, we already have a full debrief notes that we've taken about like, all right, what do we need to improve for next year? Number one is like, I need to take more awkward shots. Like my shot was like kneeling on the side of a cliff where I had to thread the needle between two trees. And I also had to like lean back to get my bow on the right axis. Like I had all these various things. It's like, we really don't practice those. Normally I just like, I stand up, I aim, I range, I dial it in, and then I aim. And it's like, it's not real world scenarios. So we learned so much about what we need to practice and do better. So while it's not a success, again, from an outcome perspective, the process that we went through and the amount of learning that we did is wildly successful. So if we measure it based on, hey, did you learn a lot this year? Oh my gosh, yes. Because if we had gone out and we had, been successful on day 2 or 3, we would have learned, like, we'd be way worse elk hunters than we are right now from 30 days of, quote unquote failure.
How much weight did you lose? You look thin.
I probably lost 15 pounds.
Did you really? Dude, you didn't have 15 to lose. How's that possible?
I'm shredded, man.
Are you all like all abs and
like
veins?
Here. I'm pretty sure. I'm just like,
yeah, look at you. Wow, everybody's going to go watch the video now for those that are picking this up on audio.
Yeah, I was just completely nude for everyone on audio. Like you missed it.
Yeah, you got some serious abs going on, dude.
Say what?
You got some serious abs going on. Are we gonna see like every real possible known demand for Instagram for the next few weeks while you're putting weight back on, just so you can take your shirt off and just flex for everyone?
No, dude, I feel like a rail, man. Like I feel so skinny and probably pretty weak. I mean, granted, I was hiking a ruck the whole time, like I was carrying weight the whole time. So I'm sure my legs are pretty, they have great endurance. Let's just put it that way. But
how many calories a day are you eating on a trip like that?
3,000.
It doesn't seem like enough. No wonder you lost weight.
Yeah, three, but it's mainly just like the ability to carry enough food. And honestly, like I'm stuffing my face with this like super high calorie stuff. And there's a certain point where you just don't want to eat. Like it was interesting. Like I never don't want to eat. And there was, at a day like 15 or 20, it's like, I don't want to eat this anymore. So I should have probably varied up my, my bars and my food a little bit more. But yeah. There was a couple, like I think I got back to my truck and went to a convenience store and ate an entire bag of chocolate covered popcorn or something, like whole bag, like 3,000 calories, just smashed it.
Well, it's hard. I think it's hard to consistently take down large calories in what is essentially processed food. I mean, those protein bars,
yeah, for sure.
Or like, I mean, I find that in my day-to-day diet, like there's only so many days I can eat protein bars from like gagging, like, oh, I just want real food.
Yeah. I think my favorite snack out there was dried mangoes with dried strawberries. Like that would be the one that is like, I was always looking forward to it because it was so delicious.
Did you have real food at the camp, or were you guys always just eating back then?
We had the stuff that we used, not sponsored. They should sponsor me though. It was Peak. That Peak makes like freeze dried meals, and they're actually pretty. I mean, especially after a long day of hiking, like all you do is you add 1 cup of boiling water to the bag, let it stir it up, wait 10 minutes, and then you have, chicken Alfredo or beef stroganoff, or it was actually pretty good. Like Gary and I were actually talking. We're like, you know what? I feel like we could just like do a Peak diet where like all you do is like breakfast, you have Peak granola, lunch, you have a Peak meal, and then dinner, you have a Peak meal. You'd have all your macros dialed in. You'd know exactly how many calories, and it's so easy to cook.
Well, reach out to them next year. We'll get them to sponsor for one of your hunting events.
Yeah.
So, CJ and I were talking while you were gone. Like the one thing this show was missing the entire time you were gone was we weren't able to talk about any courses because you know everything, but you don't have a course for this, which makes it really hard to do this whole show. So just for you, Ben, I made one. How to spend 4 weeks killing nothing but time by Wide Prep.
Oh my God.
I think this is a great course. For everyone watching on YouTube, you got to go see. I got it. It's up on the screen. Go to wideprep.com. By the new course, How to Spend 4 Weeks Killing Nothing But Time by Ben Zawalski. Great.
That is incredible. Thank you so much for that.
I'd also like extra credit for kind of getting the font really close to the Wide Prep font. You're welcome.
That's incredible. It's at wideprep.com/failure.
Yeah, I'll send it to you. You can post it. It'll be great.
That's amazing.
I wasn't going to taunt you because Dr. Tom, who was on our show, got a huge elk, and I mean huge. Like, he showed me photos of it. I'm like, dude, you can't.
I purposefully have not been on Instagram because it makes me so depressed.
Oh, his was so big. I mean, like I didn't even have my glasses on when he showed me the photo. We were at the gym and he showed it to me, and
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap, that's ridiculous.
Well, now I need to go find it. I'll
Yeah,
text him.
I'll get it and send it to you. He was pretty. I mean, he was he had a different hunting experience than you did. They were on horseback and doing some other things, but
Yeah, I'm very jealous of that experience.
so
I also do know that his experience was significantly more expensive than my
well,
experience, but I bet it was awesome.
that sounds a lot like Tom. What is your plan now that you're back? So this kind of get back into the fitness piece of it. So you've had time out of the gym, and granted you've been doing fitness, but you've been out for a month.
Mhm.
What's your plan to go back in? You going to ease back in? You just going to jump in and do Fran tomorrow morning? Like what are you doing?
First things first. I mean, especially if anyone, obviously, I got to loop some courses into this. Duh.
Of
If you've heard
course.
Justine and I talk about, Recovery RX, number one most important aspect of recovery is sleep. Okay. So that's what I've been doing. Last 2 days, sleep. I went to bed yesterday at 8 p.m.
Have you been snorting thirdsy? Just like
I
mainlining it?
haven't been snorting it. I haven't
No.
really to be honest, I haven't really needed the powder. What I did do, because I have been waking up at again like 3:30, 4 in the morning, and going to bed really late, is they actually have a bedtime reset thing that actually does have melatonin in it to try to like reset.
Yeah.
Basically, it's like for jet lag. And that's kind of what I have the equivalent of. So I've taken that last 2 nights. I might take
Wait,
it.
who has this?
Thirdly
Thirdsy?
does.
Oh, she's holding out on me.
It's called the bedtime reset. But I don't
Holding
even
out
know
on
if they
me.
still have it. But
I
I've
just
been
keep getting
taking it.
bags of the recovery collagen, which is great, and I love it.
Yeah.
I got 2 bags of stuff. I'm gonna message her. She was messaging me today. I'm like, you holding out on me. I need.
Yeah, if you travel, especially like internationally, which obviously I did a ton of back in the day, it really helps. Like basically, like it kind of knocks you out. Like
Yeah.
melatonin is not ideal for long term use, but like to help reset your clock, so to speak, and to you know, I didn't want to wake up at 3 in the morning, be like where are the elk, and then wake up and be like, oh no, I'm in my bed and now I'm wide awake. Um, so I've been taking that last couple nights, and I'm just prioritizing sleep. I'm probably gonna rest like complete rest. Like I literally sat on the couch all day, Saturday and Sunday, and did nothing but eat food, and watch the Ravens lose. So it was awesome to come back and like have my one hope be like maybe my football team will win, even though I lost. And
As a
then
Browns fan, I appreciated it because we lost too.
they lose again, and then they lose a really big lead.
Yep.
So I'm gonna prioritize sleep, and then I think Wednesday one of my buddies is in town, and we're gonna actually go hit the gym. And yeah, I'm going to take it easy. Now, when I actually get into the gym, if it's something in my wheelhouse, am I going to take it easy? Probably not. I probably won't. But I am going to try to really, be wary of upper body pulling prep. Like basically my upper body has not done anything for a month. So I could be really exposed to some delayed onset muscle soreness. My legs and core and back, like basically all the stuff that's been supporting this heavy backpack that I've been walking around with for 300 miles, those muscles are plenty worked out. But going really heavy, I'll probably like dial it back a couple notches. If there's a pull up workout that I normally would smash, I'm going to force myself to take it easier than normal. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I hope that like maybe a couple sessions this week and then a couple sessions next week, and then I'll probably get a new gym membership and go make some friends and go to the gym.
Yeah, it could be for someone like you that actually, is very fit, but has been out for a while and could come back in and smash a really hard, long workout. You could actually put yourself at serious physical risk. Like
And
I've been.
I have done that several times. You're 100% right. There was one time in college when I was training pretty heavily where I went home for Christmas break and essentially didn't train for an entire month. I just ate a lot of snickerdoodle cookies and then came
Sounds
back on the back end of that and decided to do Angie. And I think we've talked about this on the podcast. And I don't know if I had rhabdo. Like I really didn't even understand what that was, but I couldn't extend my arms for a 5-day period.
That
Like
sounds like
I had T-Rex arms where my arms were literally at a 90-degree
right.
angle, and I had to get my roommate to grab my hands and extend my arms, and I screamed the whole time just to get them to extend because I was like, my muscles are frozen in this position. long story short, I am now very aware of that, and I will go back into the gym with the understanding that, like, Ben, you have not done a single upper body anything except for, I think I drew back my bow 4 times. So I've done 4 70-pound right arm rows. Other than that, I haven't done anything upper body. So I'm really going to take it easy.
Dude, I've seen level 1 coaches in similar, circumstance. Some of the fittest people I know take time out of the gym for a month, come back, do a workout with 100 GHGs in it. They're in the hospital. Like it's a real
Yes.
thing, even for some of the fittest people. And, so don't go put yourself in the hospital. Are you trying to put weight back on?
It'll happen. It'll happen naturally. I always kind of end up at the like 175-pound mark. So I'll get back on creatine. I try to take 5 grams of creatine every day. That'll give me a few pounds of water weight in my muscles. I'll probably at some point start eating like an adult, and then once those two things happen, I always tend to equilibrium around like the 175-pound, 180-pound mark.
Between now and then, you'll just take shirtless selfies like crazy.
Nah, but see, like I got abs, but like, dude, I'm skinny. Like my shoulder, like I'm all small and bony, so I'm not necessarily in the take my shirt unless like I guess like girls are kind of into that these days, right? Like the skinny abs guy.
Well, for those young guys like you, yeah, this is going to be your Tinder, Bumble. I don't know what you're on, Hinge, like whatever dating apps you decide to be on. This would be your photos.
It's Bumble and Hinge for those.
Is it for those that are looking for Ben Deasy, Bumble and Hinge? Those.
Yeah, I can't even handle them. Like they're too much. Too much.
What's too much about it?
It's too much. there's so like it becomes nearly like a full-time job trying to like filter and sort matches. And
you have too many women liking your photos. I'm sorry, Ben.
Everybody on there has the same issue. It's not just me.
And poor Ben. Everyone feel bad for Ben. Ben's got too many women that want to date him. I'm so sorry.
And then it's like, yeah, married. Like, do you want to get married instantly? It's like, no. Technically, my divorce just finalized September 21st. While I was in the woods, I thought for sure that was going to be the day where I shot an elk. However, it was not, nor were any of the other days. But it is finalized, so that was exciting.
Wow. I guess that would have been. I don't know how I would have felt about that if you'd killed something the day you got divorced.
I mean, it's not like it was a bad thing, and it was more of just like, wow, like this is. I don't know, like I took an extra deep breath. That it's like, this is like, it's just me, myself, and I, and my 2 dogs that I share custody with. So it's like I have all this freedom, and it was cool to be out there. Like, this is me expressing my freedom. Like, yeah, my team misses me, maybe, kind of. But other than that, like no one's saying like, Ben, you need to get out of the woods and, do this thing or, spend time with me. It's more of like, no, I now have the freedom to truly do whatever I want when I want, which is good. But it's also a sense of responsibility to be like, all right, I need to make sure that I'm progressing on my life goals and I'm doing the things that I want to do and staying healthy and keeping the business afloat. And it was good. It's great.
So you're going to prioritize, just so I've got them right, you're going to prioritize sleep, recovery, like getting back at it. You're going to start eating again, real food, creatine, get your supplements and nutrition in check. And then you're going to kind of ease back into the gym. Anything else that you're putting on the short list of, all right, Ben's got to reacclimate into the real world and get his life back together?
Yeah, I think one thing that I know that I need to do is set a new goal, right? Set a new, like I had this goal that essentially has been my primary focus for months, right? It has come and it has gone. Now I need some sort of new focus that I'm churning around in the back of my mind, like whether it's a financial goal, whether it's a fitness goal. The thing I loved about, backcountry bow hunting for elk was like, it was fitness and discipline and like learning a new skill. Like it had kind of all these different things wrapped up into one, which I really liked. And now that it's, now that there's 333 days until elk season, I do know the exact amount. Now that it's that long until the next season, I really need to figure out what I'm going to fill my free time with, because I can't just do WOD prep stuff all the time. I certainly don't want to just be on dating apps all the time. That's where dreams go to die. I want to find, probably I'll either lean into some other hobby or set some sort of new goal, or, there might be another hunt that I can go on, that I need to train for, but I need to have something that I train for.
Mm.
And, for me right now, it's just like, I don't know. There were so many years where those goals were CrossFit goals. Like I'd train for the next competition and I'd put my heart and soul into that. I could train for Wadapalooza, I guess, but I'm just gonna let that happen naturally. But I probably need to find some sort of new goal to work
You're
on.
scared I'm going to beat you. Just say you're scared.
I'm
It's
so
fine.
scared, dude.
It's fine.
You are gonna beat me.
No, there's no chance of that. No
You
chance of
will.
that. I'm my goal right now is sober October. That's my goal.
Okay, nice.
This is water, hop water, what it's called.
Nice.
It's good too, by the way. Not sponsored. They should sponsor us.
Hop water. Is it just water that tastes like beer?
It's no, it doesn't taste like beer. It tastes like water.
Then what's
And
the hop part?
it's got hops in it and nootropics, and it's pretty good. 0 calories. It's good. I like
And
it.
it just tastes like normal water?
It's just, I don't know. I'm just a basic white girl. I don't know what to tell you. It's good. Tastes like flavored water. It tastes better.
So it tastes like this Brita filtered water that I have.
It tastes better than that LaCroix crap that I drink that tastes like static cling. Like it's just not good,
It tastes like a Skittle farted next to the glass of water.
Yeah, exactly.
There's actually an entire Twitter account, I'm pretty sure, that does nothing but meme LaCroix.
Yeah, it's so much better than that. But yeah, I'm doing sober October, but it's not really about not drinking, although that's part of it. I'm doing similar to what you're doing, which is setting some goals for the month of October. So I didn't want it to just be, all right, I'm just going to give up alcohol. Like that seemed easy to me. Does that make sense? Like just saying I'm not going to drink for 30 days. It's like, all right, well, I'm just not going to drink. It's easy. Don't keep it in the house.
Right.
Done. Right. Done. It's not like I go out on the weekend, so that wouldn't be a problem for me. So my thought is like, if I'm going to do it, I need to set some goals that will help me change behaviors or, help me create better things in my life. Does that make sense? So like some examples are, my normal routine is I wake up in the morning whenever I want, typically. And I get up, I make a pot of coffee. I immediately start drinking coffee and immediately start making memes. I've done that for like 3 years. Now I'm getting up in the morning. I'm getting some sunlight or some light. I'm not going downstairs. I'm jumping in the shower, taking a hot shower, shaving. I get dressed. I come downstairs. I get some movement. Start the pot of coffee. I don't even get into coffee for at least 35, 45 minutes. You know what I mean?
How long have you been doing this?
Oh, I'm killing it for 3 days, bro.
3 days? Okay.
3 days. I'm on day 3. It's awesome. But that's just one. Like that's just one of the goals. Is like, so instead of just getting up and like immediately getting into social media, like have a moment.
Yeah.
Like get your mind working. Wake up. Drink a glass of water. I've kind of changed my supplement routine around, so I get my supplements going and kind of get my day started. So changing that routine. I'm adding yoga onto my rest days for recovery. Like I haven't done yoga in years, but my shoulders are hot trash right now. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe this mobility thing's okay. Let me give it a shot, And what I found in this, again, one session. So, take it with a grain of salt, but I did have to work out on Sunday. And I found myself, instead of leaving the workout and getting on my phone and posting the workout, and then shooting messages back and forth with people about how terrible the workout was, I had an hour of solitude. And that was pretty cool from a mental standpoint. I'm like, all right, well, maybe I should add that in, And then the third thing, and this won't necessarily is the last one, but it's probably the big one, is just being more cognizant of the food I'm taking in. And this I've been working on for a while. So it's just kind of an extension, and I'm continually tweaking it. But now I'm kind of at the point where it's like, all right, I'm just going to eat real food. Just real food. No protein bars, no snack bars, nothing that comes in a little package. Like it needs to be chicken or beef, which is what I like, or salmon. Those are kind of the 3 meats I like. It's like one ingredient food. That's the best way to describe it.
Mhm.
potatoes, rice, broccoli, like, you know what I mean? And getting my macros through those things. And I found, like, honestly, in the last week, once I started prioritizing real food, getting my protein goal was really freaking easy. I was actually cutting protein out of my life by eating these 21 calorie protein bars, you know?
Mhm.
So, and then, trying some new things like hop water, again, not sponsored. Um, just drinking more water and tea and not spending as many hours on TV,
Yep.
stuff like that. So, um, I don't know, like, we'll see. But that's kind of my goal for October is like not make it about alcohol, just like create some new habits. That's the best way
Mm.
to put it, and see where it lands. And whatever habits stick that I like, keep doing them.
Yeah.
Maybe some other habits, because I get jealous of guys like you. They're like, "Oh, I read 5 books last week," and I'm like, "I read 5 books in 20, 12." Well, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I really like what you said there at the end. It's like I think too many people they go about creating habits. They'll do like a complete life overhaul, which sounds like you are doing. You're modifying a few things, but they'll do a complete life overhaul, and then they get really angry and beat themselves up when it doesn't stick, which is kind of ridiculous. Like just habit science shows that most habits aren't going to stick, especially when you just kind of like do them all at once. But if you go in it to the mindset of like, or with the mindset of, all right, I'm going to try these 5 new things. And if one of them sticks and I keep it, awesome. Right. And that's like the right mindset to have, especially if you're doing multiple habits at once and you haven't identified a single one that you're like, I got to do this one, then it's really, really good to just have an open mind and allow yourself to like, hey, which one sticks? Like, which one do you actually look forward to doing? Because there's a lot of people that try to do these morning routines and it's pure misery for them every morning. But I'm sure there's one thing you can do every morning that if you added it to your life, you'd actually feel compelled and want to do it more. Um, and one of the best things you can do from a habit stacking perspective is like take something you already do every day and then just like find a way to build on top of that with the new habit that you're trying to build. So like you wake up every morning and now rather than waking up and doing the coffee meme thing, now you're like, all right, I've woken up. Before I go downstairs, I'm going to stack X, Y, and Z on it. And a lot of times that's a great way to make a habit stick. So hopefully a couple of them stick. And if some of them don't, obviously don't beat yourself up. A lot of people just think they're failures when they don't keep a habit. But I think the best way to develop habits is to try a few of them, and then yeah, a few of them are going to stick, and you're going to really look forward to doing them.
Yeah, I'm not worried so much about the failure of them, other than just like, hey, take this month and do something different. Like the whole, wake up and shower and move around and do stuff, without immediately making a pot of coffee and getting on social media, for me was designed to quit drinking so much coffee.
Hmm.
Like I just drink a ton of coffee if I'm bored. Like
Right.
I do a lot of this stuff just out of pure boredom. And I found very quickly, I've been doing that part for a week now. And I found very quickly that all of a sudden, like, man, I still got half a pot of coffee left at the end of the day that I never touched.
Yeah,
Drink half as much coffee as maybe I was before.
it's good.
And again, I'm not trying to give up coffee necessarily, but I don't know, drinking a whole pot of coffee before I go to work just doesn't seem like the greatest strategy for rest at the end of the day, which I want to prioritize.
Yeah, we're reducing anxiety.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, it's a lot of little stuff. And, I don't know. I also, me, like I'm kind of always doing charitable giving and that sort of stuff. And my other mindset was like, I feel like I should do something for sober. Like there's a lot of people out there that struggle with addiction or just stuff, and
Mhm.
I have a pretty good life. Like I don't struggle with a lot of things. And like maybe I can pitch in and do something, like be an example, get people talking. Like it doesn't mean I got to do this stuff for the rest of my life, but if I make 1 or 2 changes and it works out, that's great,
Sure.
you know?
Yep.
And, truthfully, it's taken my mind off some of this training stuff too, because I'm still just beating myself silly in the gym. So,
So nothing you learned from CJ has stuck.
yeah, it's so funny you say that. So I went to the gym today and I was talking to my coach and, we were talking about the RX, and I'm like, I'm going to scale this workout. He's like, no, you got to spite CJ. He's like, no rest days, no scaling on Monday after a hard Sunday. And I'm like, no, I'm scaling today. And I scaled. I did
Hey,
scale.
good for you.
Yeah, CJ gave me hell about not taking Mondays off, but I'm not taking Mondays off. There's
man.
Look, there's it. Lance is giving me shit in the comments saying that she can do something sober later. The podcast called Kettlebells and Cocktails. I'll show you, Lance. It's now called Kettlebells and Mocktails. So there you go. Anyway, well, look, we had a lot of debate back and forth about volume.
Mm-hmm.
And, so to the point of what you've been doing for the last month, like if you were out walking these, 10 to 18 miles a day and then just dropping a workout on the end of it, then yeah, your volume's too much. But like like today, for instance, I did overhead squats and then I did a 7-minute workout. Like, now it's a high intensity workout, but it's still like total amount of volume of work I did, including the overhead squats, is less than 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a rest day, but it's also not a ton of volume.
Sure.
And if 3 or 4 of my days are that, and I'm tossing in these other 2 like kind of hard, Saturdays and Sundays training for the gauntlet, I'm gonna be all right.
Yeah, depending on like, I noticed that some CrossFit gyms that I've gone to in the past, like I could get away with doing every day their programming because like they naturally have some days or some classes, much to my chagrin, that are like 45 minutes of warm up, like 8 reps of something moderately heavy, and then a 4-minute, metcon. And it's just like, the amount of volume you get done is like not very much. But if you're doing like full training days, like CJ programs, in our WOD Prep online training stuff, or you're following a more competitive track, or you have a gym that writes, I guess, like an hour's worth of exercise generally. I would say it definitely could be too much, but again, it's all this huge box of it depends, right? Like,
yeah.
For some gyms, like, yeah, there's some days where you're like, "Ooh, it wasn't designed to be a rest day necessarily, but it was certainly a low volume day for me." So it happens.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm doing too much. And again, I think it does depend on the person.
Well, you did just say that you're absolutely trashing yourself in the gym. So do you
I
feel
am.
banged up, or?
No, I feel fine. I mean, I'm still like kind of playing with this, hand injury, which is not a lot of fun. I was talking to one of my coaches about this over the weekend. Both of my coaches were together, by the way. It was also was funny. CJ said to me on the podcast that, he thought coaches would get squirrely about me working out in 2 gyms. And I had both of my coaches from 2 different gyms in the same gym on Saturday doing a workout together.
Oh my goodness.
It was great. And
Did they fight over you?
They did. It was a great fight. It was just a flat fight. It was great. No, it was awesome. No, I was telling them, we're telling Jen, one of the coaches, that, I'm kind of fighting this hand tweak. It's not, I don't even call it an injury at this point. And my wrists have really been hurting a lot, to the point where I actually put on wrist wraps today for the first time in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And which I think is just from doing far more barbell work than I've done in the past, But otherwise, my mobility is getting way better. Like my squatting is great. Like my knees feel perfect. And I feel my cardio is through the roof. Like we did this hour-long workout on Sunday, and I was rowing, and like I shouted across, we were in the middle of the workout, 30 minutes in, and I shout over to Jen in the middle, like, I never thought I'd look forward to rowing. And I felt great just sitting there rowing in the middle of the workout. And I was rowing at a good pace. I wasn't like lollygagging it, Nice. So there are a lot of good things coming from it, where I'm certainly building capacity and learning different things that I can and can't do. But there is some truth that you do an hour-long workout that beats you up pretty good. And I'm learning how to recover from that. I'm learning that too, so I joke around and say I'm beat up. I'm sore like most people, but I think I'm okay for now. I'm, just going to keep working at it.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things is the proof is in the pudding, right? You have to, like, if you feel beat up and you're getting injured consistently, then yeah, there's a chance you're overtraining. If that's not happening and you feel pretty good and you feel energized and motivated to train and you feel like you're able to put forth great efforts, then keep doing what you're doing until something tells you that you need to change.
Well, what I don't tell CJ, because we don't talk, is like I took basically Thursday, Friday off last week because I was exhausted. I'm like, I need a mental rest day. And the second day, I'm like, I had a lot of work going on. I'm like, I'm not going to feel bad about missing a day. I'll just go hard Saturday, Sunday. And that's what I did, so it's fine. It is
Perfect.
fine. And now Lance is in the comments over here because he goes to my gym, and now he's got me all worried about tomorrow's workout. And damn it, now I'm not going to sleep tonight. So thanks, Lance. It's great. Tomorrow looks terrible. I already don't like this. I'm going to call in sick.
Hey, scale and bail. It's part of the podcast. So bail.
Well, Wednesday's a rest day for me this week. I'm going to Cincinnati to see my baby girl. Today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Meg. I love you, baby. And
Happy birthday, Meg.
I'm going to go down and see her and spend the weekend in Cincinnati, and we'll hit some gyms, do some drop-ins, and we'll work out with the University of Cincinnati Functional Fitness Group, which will be
Sign
fun.
some autographs, kiss some babies.
No. These are 19-year-olds, Ben. They're going to smoke me in the gym.
Babies.
It'll be fun. And, get to see the city a little bit and hang out with my kid. So that's my plan. But in between then, if anyone wants it, put it back on the screen one more time. The new WOD Prep course, How to Spend 4 Weeks Killing Nothing But Time by Ben Zawalski, is now for sale at wodprep.com.
We're going to do a special bonus. You get a live webinar where I walk you through how I missed my shot, step by step.
I want credit, Ben, for how fast I literally put that meme together 2 minutes before we got on the air. It looks like one of your courses. I'm so proud of myself.
You crushed it. Yes, you got me.
I love that so much. Well, I'm glad you're back safe. Sorry you didn't harvest anything, but learned a lot. And
yeah, it's all about the goal.
So
that's the goal. Yeah, I got the abs back.
Right.
Body by elk season. That'll be a special bonus that I throw into
P30X.
30 days in the woods.
That's what we call it. Elk 30X or P30 Elks. How about that? P30X. There you go. Took me a minute to work it out.
The ultimate bow hiking masterclass.
Yes.
How to spend 30 days walking with a bow around the woods.
I love it. Hey, before we leave, a couple things. We talked about Thirdsy. So if anybody wants some Thirdsy and get better sleep, go to thirdsy.com. Use our code SCALES, SCALEZZZ. You'll save 20%. Stuff's great. What else do we need to? Anything else we need to pitch before we run?
Well, I don't think so. I think we are. I'm excited to get back onto the podcast train, get all caught up with work. I'm still just easing back into society. But I'm excited to get back after it. And obviously, if anyone has any questions, topics that they'd like for us to riff on, we'll bring some to the table. But we're always interested in hearing from you guys. Just message us on Instagram. I think that's the key.
Yep. Love it. Somebody just asked, and I'm going to answer one question here because it hit the comments. Where's John from? I'm currently in Cleveland, Ohio, but I'm originally from Tupelo, Mississippi. I'm a hillbilly at heart. So
you can tell with the way his accent is.
I don't even really have an accent right now, Ben, but if you had another Southerner in the show, it would come out very quickly.
Well, I can do Southern accents, man. I can do North Carolina. I can do some Alabama.
That's not bad. That's a pretty close Alabama accent. I don't know how close it is to North Carolina, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, North Carolina, they kind of got like this little bit of a squeaky, high-pitched accent. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not even the South. It's North Carolina.
Oh, my God. Someone's going to kill you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you do like the podcast, you like the ramblings, you like the lesson of the only way that you can guarantee failure is by giving up, give us a 5-star review on your preferred podcast platform. Leave a review, leave some comments. We love to hear it. If there's any feedback, any negative feedback, obviously don't leave a review. Instead, message us directly and we'll fix it. And if you want to get all the courses that I actually sell, the courses that have to do with CrossFit, not how to spend 30 days in the woods and kill nothing but time,
I'd hit a tree.
go to wildprep.com/courses. I'd love to help you improve your skills.
There you go. All right. Well, everyone, thanks for listening. Appreciate you guys joining. We will catch up with you guys next week.